Hey everyone, and welcome back. It is so great to have you here. Before we jump into today's story, if you enjoy these deep dives and want to support what we do, please take a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Now, today's explainer is, well, it's a bit different and honestly a whole lot of fun. We are traveling back in time to the medieval Middle East, straight into the pages of the Arabian Nights. But you know, we aren't talking about magic lamps or flying carpets today. Instead, we are looking at a story that is essentially a medieval tale of extreme workplace burnout, office politics, and what happens when you try to game the system.
So I want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever taken advice that sounded incredibly smart? You know, maybe from a friend who seemed completely put together, until you actually followed it, and it totally ruined your life? We have all been there, right? You get this genius life hack, you try it, and it immediately explodes in your face. Well, today's explainer features what might literally be the ultimate historical example of a life hack going horribly, horribly wrong.
To set the scene, let's ground this fable in its ancient origins. In the vast, interconnected world of the Arabian Nights, this specific classic story doesn't take place in a grand palace, though. It takes place out in the countryside, on a large, bustling farm owned by a very wealthy and prosperous merchant. This guy runs a massive agricultural operation. He has herds of cattle, camels, lots of farmhands, the whole shebang. Okay, let's dive into this, because the premise here is just so bizarre and fascinating. Our wealthy merchant has a secret. He has been taught the language of the beasts. He can literally understand everything his animals are saying. But there's a massive catch. If he ever reveals this secret to anyone, even his wife, he will immediately die. So he just walks around his farm every day, secretly eavesdropping on his livestock, never letting on that he knows exactly what they are gossiping about. Section 1. The ultimate burnout story. One evening, the merchant is relaxing near the animal enclosures when he tunes into a highly relatable water cooler complaint session between two coworkers. The sheer contrast in their lifestyles is staggering. The ox is the guy grinding out the brutal 80-hour work week. He complains, saying he's taken out to plow in the middle of the night, driven under the whip until his sides are lacerated and his neck is flayed. Then he comes back in the dark and sleeps in mud and dung. Meanwhile, the donkey sleeps on swept floors, drinks clear, cool water, eats sifted barley, and is only ever used for the occasional brief errand by the master. Talk about a completely unfair division of labor, right? The ox is physically exhausted, and the donkey is basically on a permanent spa vacation. Section 2. The donkey's terrible advice. So the donkey acts like this overly confident, smug productivity guru. He basically tells the ox, look, man, you are doing this all wrong. You exert and exhaust yourself just to comfort others. He decides to teach the ox how to quiet quit with a supposedly flawless 3-step plan. Step 1, when they bring you your food, don't eat it. Just smell the beans and pull away. Step 2, draw back and lie down on the hay, pretending you're way too sick to move. Step 3, simply wait for the humans to realize you need rest and enjoy your kinder, better life. Now, wait. Why would you trust the donkey? He literally has zero experience doing the ox's job. He has absolutely no idea what the real-world consequences of this will be. But the ox, desperate and exhausted, thinks this is the most brilliant advice he has ever heard. Section 3. The plan hilariously backfires. The very next day, the ox puts the master plan into action. He fakes being sick in the field, he falls on his belly, and when brought back to the trough, he perfectly executes the donkey's trick. He refuses his beans, pulls back, and by morning, he is lying on his back, barely breathing, with his belly puffed up and his legs dramatically raised in the air. I mean, he is fully committing to the bit. The plowman is completely fooled. He feels terrible for the poor animal, runs to the merchant and reports, Master, last night the ox refused to eat or touch his fodder. He did seem weak. Now remember our premise. The merchant knows the truth. He was sitting right there listening to the donkey scheme the night before. So the merchant, probably trying not to laugh, decides it's time to intervene and teach his overly confident donkey a little lesson. The merchant looks at the plowman and gives these ironclad orders. Since the ox is sick, he says, go to the wily donkey, put him to the plow, and work him hard until he finishes the ox's task. Oh, the karma is just too good. The merchant totally flips the script. The plowman grabs the pampered, smug donkey, straps the heavy wooden yoke onto his neck, and drags him out to the fields. By the end of the day, there's a hilarious role reversal, and this brilliantly illustrates just how much things have changed. The ox has spent the entire day having a lovely staycation.
He ate his food, drank his water, and spent the day chewing his cud in total comfort, constantly praising his genius friend the donkey. Meanwhile, the donkey returns at nightfall completely destroyed. He has been beaten, his sides are lacerated, his neck is flayed, and he is barely able to drag his drooping ears and tired legs back to the trough. The ox practically jumps up to greet him, saying, "Good evening, you have done me a favor beyond description." And the donkey, absolutely seething with anger and pain, doesn't even reply to him. Instead, he just mutters this quote to himself. "All this happened to me because of my miscalculation. I would be sitting pretty, but for my curiosity." It is just spectacular. He realizes his meddling, his totally unsolicited advice, has completely wrecked his perfect, comfortable life. Section 4, the frantic backpedal. As he is lying there aching in the barn, the donkey has a terrifying realization. If the ox keeps pretending to be sick tomorrow, the plowman is going to come right back and put the donkey in the yoke again. The donkey knows his body cannot physically survive another day of farm labor. He is in full panic mode. So the donkey turns to the ox and says, "Listen, my friend, I have some terrible news. I overheard the master talking to the plowman today." He tells the ox a brand new lie, saying the master swore that if the ox failed to get up and eat his fodder, he would call the butcher to slaughter him and skin him, distribute his meat for alms, and use his skin for a mat. Well, the threat of the butcher works instantly. The terrified ox immediately farts, bellows, and eagerly devours all of his food to prove he is perfectly healthy and ready to work. The donkey's life is saved and the status quo is restored.
Section 5. Shortcuts and unintended consequences.
It's such a funny, chaotic little fable, but beneath the physical comedy of the puffed-up ox and the panicking donkey, there is a really sharp observation. So the crucial point is captured in this concept of unintended consequences. The donkey thought he had the perfect, clever shortcut to outsmart the system, but he didn't understand the full picture, and his meddling created vastly more pain and work for himself than if he had just minded his own business. It is a gentle, ironic reminder that sometimes bad advice wrapped in extreme confidence just creates a disastrous mess for everyone involved. Which brings me to a question for all of you. What is the absolute worst piece of supposedly clever advice you've ever received? Did a friend ever tell you a shortcut that ended up making your life 10 times harder? I would absolutely love to hear your stories, so drop them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for exploring this ancient tale of terrible advice with me today. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next explainer.